900 pages. That was what was released today. 900 pages of what was once sealed documents about Jeffrey Epstein. And so many people seem like they are hung up on the list. Who's on the list? Well, first of all, this isn't the list. Now, there are quite a few names given in these papers, but this is not the list. This is court filings, documents, depositions, things like that. And more importantly, people are making this political. Oh, this is gonna put Trump away. Oh, look what they're gonna do to the Democrats and Bill Clinton. And I'm here to tell you, I don't play that game. If anyone follows my channel, you know that I say all the time, I'm a pretty down-the-middle type of individual. But I do think it's important that we cover what is in these documents. Now, I know this ain't the typical nerd news that I usually do, but the Jeffrey Epstein stuff needs to be talked about. And first of all, I want to let everybody know I didn't just miraculously get these. I'm not clickbaiting you. I'm not making it up. If anyone's not in the know, there's a Google Docs, documents that you can just download. There are 7 files, so I'm going to leave the link to that in the description down below. If you want to go through all of these yourself, absolutely go for it. It's free to you, it's free to everybody, and I really think that everyone should get into these. So welcome back to Words of Paradise. I'm your host, Leon Idle, and we're going to talk about at least the first file of 7 files in the Jeffrey Epstein case. And yeah, only the first file. You know why only the first file? Because it's 102 pages. Out of 900. That's all I've read so far is the first file. 900 pages. That's basically the Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince of rape. So, yeah, we're going to go through this and hit that subscribe button because YouTube's probably not going to like a lot of the things I have to say considering, well, look what we're covering. So it starts off with, it starts off on page 3, but let's be real, that's the first real page. And this is an email from Ghislaine Maxwell. Now, I'm out of my depth in understanding defamation and other legal hazards. Now, no, I'm not going to read through all 102 pages. I'm going to hit some key points, though. So this is an email she sent to, presumably, her lawyer about how she is in danger of defamation and litigation from one of the individuals that Jeffrey Epstein, did some not so nice things to in terms of consensuality, and is somebody that, Ghislaine actually, sought out. Somebody that she, what's the word that they use so much? She targeted and recruited, a word that Ghislaine goes on to say she did not like. Apparently even saying Virginia is a liar has hazard. Virginia is, of course, the individual that was trafficked. I've been in a suit. I've never been in a suit, criminal or civil, and I want to stay that way. She says a bunch of things just in this initial email to her lawyer that's incredibly suspect. She calls him, she just calls him by name. These old charges in civil suits against Jeffrey. We need to consult with U.S. lawyers on statement and make the complaint. Like, she doesn't even say Mr. Epstein, Jeffrey Epstein like we all do. She's the first name basis, which obviously she would be. I mean, she worked for the guy, they dated, they were friends, but it's still so jarring to see an email from such an evil individual just be like, oh, there's going to be civil suits against Jeffrey, talking about it so casually. Like, you could tell she's stressed because she's about to be in a lot of trouble, but it's still got a casual nature to it. We need to speak to him to understand my own risks, so you can help me understand. Too many cooks in the kitchen. I can't make good decisions. Yeah, well, no kidding, you can't make good decisions. You were trafficking minors to a billionaire who liked to have sex with them. And then we've got the court documents, the court filings here. Plaintiff's motion to compel defendant to answer deposition questions. Now, I don't know if you guys have been in a deposition before. I don't even know if you know what a deposition is, but a deposition is if you're in a court proceeding, they bring you in, usually with your lawyer, and I assume always with your lawyer. Anytime I've had to do one, which is not many, but I've had to do a couple depositions. With your lawyer, and they sit you down and they ask you some questions. And let me tell you, they are never pleasant questions. And your lawyer usually is there to sort of guide you along and stop the line of questioning if it does not adhere to whatever the case is about. But that's a pretty rare thing, at least based on the reading I've done and based on my own anecdotal personal experience. Your lawyer is not going to object very often. Yeah, that's not the case for these filings. Her lawyer was jumping in at every single instance. And you want to know, every time he was jumping in, when it had to do with her and or Mr. Epstein himself, doing things with children. So, yeah, obviously, her lawyer was going out of his way to try and cover up any chance of her answering these questions. Which, to be fair, I mean, yeah, that's what a lawyer is supposed to do. But we're talking about adult, grown individuals of power, wealth, fame, fortune, money, raping kids. I mean, if anything, this lawyer should be looked at as a criminal themselves. So there's got to be a line when just doing your job becomes full on, criminal. I don't know, what would you call that? obstruction, maybe. I mean, this dude is quite literally trying to, again, it's a defamation case, which means it's civil, so he's not really obstructing any laws, but think of the severity and the nature of what we're talking about here. So either way, you've got this fourth page here, fourth out of 102, and it's the plaintiff's motion, so the Virginia, the girl who's suing, to compel Ghislaine Maxwell to answer deposition questions. And let me tell you, some of these questions are a doozy. First, they start off pretty easy. Have you ever given Jeffrey Epstein a massage? And then her lawyer, that's Mr. Pagluica, however you pronounce that, object to form foundation. I'm going to instruct you not to answer that question. I don't have any problem with you asking questions about what the subject matter of the lawsuit is, which would be, as you've termed it, sexual trafficking of Miss Roberts. To the extent you are asking for information relating to any consensual adult interaction between my client and Mr. Epstein, I'm going to instruct her not to answer because it's not part of the litigation and it's her private confidential information, not subject to this deposition. So her lawyer is basically trying to make the case that the only questions that she's going to answer are questions that actually have some sort of bearing on what the plaintiff is stating. Yeah, except for when you're talking about how this woman is being accused of reeling this individual in and effectively trafficking her to Epstein, leading to her, multiple rapes. Yeah, I think that your bedroom activities are now automatically on the table, considering you used to have those same bedroom activities with Jeffrey himself and allegedly also have them with this individual. I'm so blown away at the fact that people are making this political, that people are making this about the left versus the right. We now have conclusive proof. Yes, everybody, we always knew it. I think that, Jeffrey Epstein didn't kill himself is probably the longest running meme I have ever seen in the entirety of my life and, time on the internet. But people are making this a political thing when we now have verifiable proof that there is a conglomeration of large, rich, famous, wealthy, powerful individuals that just use children as playthings for kicks because they can. Were there people named in this? Absolutely. And what I've read so far, yeah, of course Dershowitz has been named, Bill Clinton's been named, everyone's always talking about the names, but do we not understand that here we are in 2024, this is like a 2.5-year-old or more story? I mean, Epstein was in what, 2019? Ghislaine Maxwell was 2020 or 2021? We're going on 4 or 5 years of whatever this nonsense is, and we're just now getting information about it. We're just now getting this to the public, when clearly this has been going on. I mean, these court documents date back to at least the 90s in terms of when all this stuff was happening. Now, I can't pretend to be a Jeffrey Epstein expert. I don't know when he started, but apparently, there's some individuals in here that Ghislaine has noted that she's known since the 70s. So I don't know when all the promiscuity and, of course, the follow-up rape happened, but we're talking at least the early 90s from some of the stuff she's saying. I mean, and it goes on. Like, let's just look through how long these documents are. We're on page, 10. This is all just now this isn't even the deposition. So here we are at the conclusion, page 11 out of 102. It started on page 4. This is all just stuff that the prosecutor wrote up. This is what the prosecuting attorney wrote up. It took nearly 11 pages. But that's not all. We've got Exhibit 4 here. This is the parts of the deposition itself. And this isn't even the whole deposition. If you look at the page numbers jump around. Now, they are labeled. So let's read some of the stuff here. So they ask, it's not shown here. This is page 60. We went from page 2, jumps right to page 60 in these documents. And there's even some things that are redacted within the documents themselves. It's rare, but it is there. So they're asking, the prosecutor is asking what the job of Virginia Guthrie was. And she was, so Ghislaine answers, she was tasked to answer telephones. Did you ever ask her to rub Jeffrey's feet? And then the lawyer, Ghislaine's lawyer, objection to the form and foundation. And then Ghislaine says, I believe that I've read that, but I don't have any memory of it. I don't have any memory of it. Yeah, what an easy answer to give during a deposition. I don't have any memory of it. Because if you give, for those of you that don't know, if you give a flat-out yes or a flat-out no when you're told and you're found to be lying, then obviously that's going to be perjury in court. If you lie in your deposition and you're found to be lying, that's what perjury is. So yeah, by the way, I'm not a lawyer or anything to that effect. I've just had to deal with this a few times. So I'm going off of what my attorneys have told me and things of that nature. So if I do get the occasional thing wrong, it doesn't alter the point that why are we just now getting this information and why are people only making it a political thing? You need to be downloading this. You need to be reading it. And we need to be making a big stink about it on the internet. I'm going to continue reading these documents. Like I said, I only read the first file out of 7. I'm going to read the rest. But my God, is that just this first document alone had me like, I took probably 5 hours after reading it before I'm just now making this video. I had to cleanse, I had to clear out, I had to watch some One Piece, I had to play some Rocket League, I had to get myself in a different headspace because this was just so much. Anyway, so she was asking, the prosecutor asked, did you ever rub Jeffrey's feet? And then she says, yeah, I have no memory of it. Well, yeah, it's an easy way to say you've got no memory of it because now you're at that legal gray area, it could have happened, but you have no memory of it. So you're not being dishonest, you just didn't remember. Now, of course, when you see the amount of times that she says that she doesn't have any memory of things throughout this deposition, which, by the way, this deposition of these 102 pages is like probably the next 90 or so, 95, give or take. Almost all of this is just Ghislaine being, questioned and her being answered and her lawyer jumping in to try and play the fit and make sure everything is a-okay. Did you ever tell Johanna that she... Oh, by the way, it also mentions multiple of the victims, Johanna being one of it. So that's the victim they're talking about right now, not Virginia, my bad. They're talking about Johanna right now. That she would get extra money if she provided Jeffrey messages. This answer is so disgustingly scummy. Listen to what Ghislaine Maxwell had to say. I was always happy to give career advice to people, and I think that becoming somebody in the healthcare profession, either exercise instructor or nutritionist or professional massage therapist, is an excellent job opportunity. Hourly wages are around $7, $8, $9, and as a professional healthcare provider, you can earn somewhere between, as we've established, $100 to $200, and to be able to travel and have a job that pays is a wonderful job opportunity. Now, she's talking about $7, $8, $9. I mean, she can't be talking about per hour, can she? Because this deposition is from 2016. Now, I get it. Trump was in office in 2016. Yeah, the economy started to bounce back pretty hard, but I'm pretty sure even for the regular folk, $9 per hour ain't a good amount of money. And yeah, these girls were underage. You could definitely make the argument, well, they don't know what it's like to have money. They're teenagers. Well, first of all, that's kind of disgusting. But even if you wanted to make that argument, I'm sure even a 15-year-old girl knows that $9 an hour isn't a whole lot of money. I'm pretty sure teenage girls probably still know the cost of handbags. But anyway, you listen to the rest of her statement. It's so disgusting. So in the context of advising people for opportunities for work, it is possible that I would have said that she should explore that as an option. Did you tell her that she should get extra money if she massaged Jeffrey? I'm just saying, I cannot recall the exact conversation. I give career advice. I have done that. She's trying to play off that she set this woman up, just giving her career advice. Oh yes, this career advice that led to God knows how many, countless rapes by one of the most disgusting human beings that we've probably seen in our lifetime when it comes to abusing the money and power, especially towards children. And she has so many answers like that. She either dodges the question and makes it sound very professional. Oh, I was barely even working in that office. And when I did work in that office, of course I didn't see anything. I was working. To the generics, I don't know. And anytime they ask if she knows somebody, of course the answer is yes, because she has to be honest. She can't claim she didn't know anyone. And you see names pop up all the time in these articles. Did you ever instruct Johanna to message Glenn Dubin? I don't believe. I have no recollection of it. See, again, you're going to get used to a whole lot of that. I mean, again, if I keep going at this rate, we're already, 12, 13 minutes in. We'd be here all day, because, as I'm scrolling right now, page 27, 28, 29, all the way to 102. It is quite frankly baffling, which is why I really think you guys need to download this for yourself and read it. But I do there was something else I wanted to cover when we get to it. The final bit of, here we go. So yeah, what the district court had to say. So this is what the prosecutor wrote to the district court after the deposition, or wrote in her final paperwork after the deposition. Plaintiff Virginia Guffrey, or Guffrey, my apologies if I butchered that, by and through her undersigned counsel hereby files this reply in support of her motion to compel defendant to answer deposition questions. Instead of allowing Miss Guffrey to take full and complete deposition, defendant flatly refused to answer questions critical to key issues in this case. And that's what I mean. If you read through all this, almost any question that has to do with anything sexual, the lawyer just jumps in, Glenn's lawyer jumps in and says she doesn't have to answer that. Well, you do when it's about, minors being assaulted. And so the court is honestly, at this point, they're asking, or they're going to attempt to force Ghislaine to come back for another, for another deposition. Now, does she have to? I would imagine she does, but again, I haven't read all the additional files yet, because again, there's 7 of them, and I only read the first one. But contrary to defendant's assertions, Miss Guthrie is not engaged in a fishing expedition, but rather seeks to ask highly focused questions specifically relevant to this case. In particular, Miss Guthrie seeks to ask the defendant questions regarding her participation in or knowledge of sexual activities connected with Jeffrey Epstein's sexual abuse of females. Such questions are entirely appropriate in the discovery phase of this case, particularly where any answers will be maintained as confidential under protective order entered into the case. As the court is aware from previous pleadings, at the heart of this case lies the issue of defendant's knowledge that Miss Guthrie was sexually abused by Epstein. So the prosecutor, of course, doing what they should be doing, is just flat out coming out and saying it. Hey, Maxwell, she's lying, or at worst, she's at best, she's keeping a tight lip when she knows this woman was abused, assaulted, and she's having her lawyer scapegoat and be able to say, nope, you don't have to answer any questions. We're going to refile a motion for her to come back and forcibly answer these questions. And it makes you wonder, why? Why was all of this hidden from the press? Because these depositions, these were in 2016. Now, again, the Epstein stuff, that was, 2019, if I remember correctly? There was clearly court stuff going on then. Were we just too obsessed with Hillary versus Trump? Is that why we didn't know what was going on with this? At this point, I really don't think it matters whether you're on the left or the right, you love my content, you hate my content. I mean, at this point, yeah, I'm usually complaining about comic book characters getting race swapped and how that's just a bane of our nerd culture's existence. But this is about some real shady stuff that has been going on for a very long period of time. And don't get me wrong, I've seen some memes on on X, and yeah, they're a lot of fun. I'm not the type of guy that would say you can't make a joke about something. No, make jokes about whatever you want. By all means, nothing's off the table in terms of comedy. That being said, can we maybe stop throwing a fit about how Dave Chappelle is transphobic when we clearly have issues like this going on? Like, why? Tell me why on X. And I know that some of you watching my videos, you're probably guilty of it, I'm not judging you for it. We've all done it. I've done stuff like that. But I can't tell you how many of the individuals that follow me on X have said things like, oh, Donald Trump is going to be brought to light in these allegations here with these court documents, or saying things like, ha, look, Bill Clinton's listed 57 times. It's over now, libs. And I'm over here like, guys, we just had 900 pages of evidence of court-sealed documents for the last God knows how many years dropped about rich people raping children. I don't think whether they got a D or an R next to their name matters. So, again, I think we're going to wrap it here for now, but read this stuff for yourself. Google Drive link is in the description below. And, yeah, again, I would genuinely appreciate if you subscribe, because I don't know how much traction this video is gonna get. It's definitely not my normal bag. My normal bag is covering nerd news, anime, movies, music, Magic the Gathering, and if that's the sort of thing you're into, don't get me wrong, I do all of that with a political spin as well. So yeah, there's a lot of politics going on in nerd culture. So yeah, subscribe and check that out, but I may or may not be doing a follow-up on this video. It depends on how much more I find out when I keep reading through these files tomorrow, because yeah, this was pretty rough. This is a pretty rough read, I'm not gonna lie. But until next time, it's all here in the Nerdosphere. Check me out on Instagram at wordsofparadise_Leon, because this has been Words of Paradise.